All right, man, let's get to it, man. We got 38 Spesh, Ransom, Trust Us off of the 8 Shots album. Yeah, man, 38 Spesh, dude. You know, Ransom and 38 Spesh to me might arguably, you could throw Griselda in the equation, but you could say they've probably been running the underground. They're probably the best guys in the underground. You could throw in maybe if you want to, I don't know if you want to consider Freddie Gibbs underground. He would be in there. Rock Marciano. Dude, we could keep going on and on. Mick Jenkins, if you want to consider him underground. I don't know what underground is anymore. But gritty street underground dudes, oh yeah. You know, you can make an argument Ransom, 38 Spesh, and the Griselda guys are running that. You know what I mean? So let's get to it, man. I've been wanting to get to something off this album. 38 Spesh featuring Ransom and Smooth Haynes. I don't know if I've heard something from Smooth Haynes. Maybe I didn't. I just didn't know his name, but the name sounds new to me. Trust Us. Let's get to it.
Hey, yo. I'm a nigga that like boxing, so when I help you catch a red eye, I ain't talking flight options. You ain't never took your wife shopping. Y'all little pieces of shit remind me of Mike's droppings. I had to stop ice shopping. I buy houses. If it's a nice profit, I might cop it. Negotiating terms with the bank, making sure I'm comfortable with my loan like Stockton. 100 grand at my Asian boo house. Had a Chinese.
Yo, 38 be cracking me up, man. His voice, it sounds like it sounds comedic though, and I think obviously that's deliberate. You know what I mean? But it's just funny. Like sometimes when he's not trying to be funny, it's funny because the tone of his voice, his delivery, is just filled with so much comedic value, humor. I don't know. He's funny. But he said, you know, I'm a dude that likes boxing, so when I help you catch a red eye, I ain't talking flight options. You know what I'm saying? So obviously we all know, for those of you who are familiar with taking a flight, you could take a red eye flight, an overnight flight, right? But he started off by saying, I'm a dude that likes boxing. So when I say catch a red eye, I ain't talking about flight options. So meaning I would punch you in your face and you will get a red eye from getting punched in the face, right? Because he likes boxing, you know? So that was funny. You say you ain't ever took your wife shopping. You little pieces of shit remind me of mice droppings, right? Little pieces of shit come from mice, right? But you little pieces of shit, like y'all don't even, you bums essentially is what he's saying. You can't even take your wife shopping. I had to stop ice shopping. I buy houses. If it's a nice profit, I might cop it. Then he said negotiating terms with the bank, making sure I'm comfortable with Malone like Stockton. That was slick. So it's a reference to Karl Malone and John Stockton, who were basketball players in the 90s. They played for professional basketball players in the NBA. They played for the Utah Jazz. They're known for their pick and roll, the Stockton and Malone. You know, Stockton was the point guard. Malone was the power forward. You know, so comfortable with Malone like Stockton. They were very comfortable together as teammates, right? But he started it by saying, you know, I'm buying houses now, man. You know, I stopped buying ice. I stopped buying jewelry. And I got into real estate, essentially, right? I'm buying houses. So I'm making sure that I'm comfortable with my bank loan as I'm buying houses, right? So that's just his way of stunting a little bit. You know what I mean? Just you know, I'm upgrading now. You know, it was jewelry before. Now I'm on the real estate. I'm on the bigger and better things. Comfortable with Malone. But the way he said that, with Malone like Stockton.
I might cop it. Negotiating terms with the bank, making sure I'm comfortable with Malone like Stockton. 100 grand at my Asian boo house. Had a Chinese, Korean, even date a few louts. I'm the truth, I got proof, y'all ain't able to doubt. See, I made it through droughts. I know haters who vouch. Way back, my first track was the Baby Blue House. Made my name.
That was hard though. You know what I'm saying? He said, I'm the truth, I got proof, y'all ain't able to doubt. See, I made it through droughts. I know my haters. I know haters who vouch. So I done made it through droughts. I know haters who vouch. Like, you would think a hater? How could a hater vouch for somebody? Well, that's how undeniable he was, right? In the streets. I made it through droughts, meaning he made it through, you know, money drying up in the streets. You know, a drought, right? Like, he was able to figure it out and figure out how to hustle and, you know, he figured things out. So even my haters would vouch for me. The people who you would think would love to hate on me, they can't even hate because it was that obvious who I was and what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So that was a hard lie, man. Let me pull it back.
Through droughts, I know haters who vouch. Way back, my first track was the Baby Blue House. Made my neighbors move out. Got my name from shootouts. But a nigga still bringing coops out. On my V's, got a stash in the front like a kangaroo pouch. Trust the silks and the big.
On my V's got a stash in the front like a kangaroo pouch. On my V's vehicles, right? Got a stash in the front. I think that what he's saying is he's stashing, money, drugs, or what have you in the front of a vehicle. I think that's his way of really saying, that he's got foreign cars, right? A lot of foreign cars, the trunk is in the front, the engine's in the back, right? So he puts the stash in the trunk in the front. All my V's, you know what I'm saying, got a stash in the front like a kangaroo pouch. Kangaroos, their pouches in the front of their body. I like that, though, that haters. I'm still thinking about it. I know I got haters who vouch. He said my first trap was a baby blue house, trap house, made my neighbors move out, got my name from shootouts. You know what I'm saying? Essentially he's saying he's official, right? In the streets at least, right?
Made my neighbors move out, got my name from shootouts, but a nigga still bringing coops out. All my V's got a stash in the front like a kangaroo pouch. Trust.
The silks and the beamer, French vanilla creamer, slacks on the hanger, I just left the cleaners. Call baby girl, bring that candy over. My favorite snack, milk chocolate areolas. They pitch coochie at him with enthusiasm. Big booby white ones, big booty black ones. Katie Moss.
This is Smooth. I don't know what's going on with Smooth. It's starting to sound like it's just it's just the homie that was in the studio that begged you to get on the joint, and it's your man, so you don't want to keep turning them down. You turn them down like 1,000 times. All right, man, you can hop on. That's what Smooth sounds like to me. What do you say? You know what I mean? Like my favorite snack, milk chocolate areolas. My big, what do you say, boobies? Big booby white ones. I just, yeah. Smooth is not, he's not delivering right now. Let's see what he does to finish the verse, though.
They pitch coochie at him with enthusiasm. Big booby white ones, big booty black ones. Katie Moss, Tracy Ross. I decorate steak and squash with a tangy sauce. Vacaciones and Honduras. On the ranch, we fed sugar cubes to blind horses. You could do the same if you got focused. Ain't got off the cajones for a hot moment. The jacket hard, Macintosh, apple red. Don't make me scoop you off your feet, you got fragile legs. I've been training for 8 weeks a kid. You gotta pay your sanctioning fees to be the kid.
How these silly rappers deceiving a culture. Shit, I don't speak to a vulture. La Costa Nostra carry heat in the holster.
Yeah, okay, yeah, cause Smooth almost put me to sleep. So let me pull that. Yeah, let me sit up now. Yeah, let me sit up for Ransom. You know what I mean? Let me sit up. Let me get right.
I've been training for 8 weeks a kid. You gotta pay your sanctioning fees to be the kid.
How these silly rappers deceiving a culture. Shit, I don't speak to a vulture. La Costa Nostra carry heat in the holster. That's like Chi-Chi trying to speak to a Sosa. You're not a ransom. I found your label advancements in the crease of my sofas. I'm well off. You spent how much for that piece on that choker? You fell off with all your 10-carat bracelets and cheap watches. Please stop it, cause the shallowest niggas got deep pockets. Childish antics and immature games to increase optics. 3 chopsticks, a turn on your thoughts in the Asian dinners. Brace for winter, hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. I'm a sore loser, I'll never get front as a graceful winner. Praying up as many dead faces to break a printer. Place your chin up, your stomach is...
Hold on, man. That sinner's line, what did he say? That sinner's line is disgusting. What did he say? Something about made for sinners. He said brace for winter. Hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. Let me pull that back. Yeah, let me think about that line. Hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. Because I think that's a Sinners movie reference, right? Duplicate mics that was made for sinners is a Sinners movie reference, right? Michael B. Jordan played in Sinners, and the character he played, Duplicate Mics, Duplicate, he played twins in that movie, right? Hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. Ooh. So it's hard to duplicate mics. It's hard to, let me break this verse down. But I think he's saying it's hard to duplicate what he does. It's hard to duplicate mics that was made for real ones, that was made for sinners. Like the entire verse was him talking about dudes that are just frauding, just lames, right? With the cheap chokers, fake watches, and all this other stuff, right? He started the verse calling them vultures. But let me pull it back though. But that duplicate mics that was made for sinners, like Michael B. Jordan played duplicate versions of himself, twins in Sinners, mics, Michael B. Jordan, but mics as a microphone, nasty.
Weeks the kid. You gotta pay your sanction and fees to be the kid.
How these silly rappers
Trust.
deceiving a culture? Shit, I don't speak to a vulture. La Costa Nostra carry heat in a holster. That's like Chi-Chi trying to speak to a Sosa. You're not a ransom. I found your label advancements in the crease of my sofas. I'm well.
Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? How did he started off by saying how these silly rappers deceiving a culture, right? You could be a culture vulture. Being a culture vulture isn't just like a non-black person thing. You can be black and be a culture vulture. You could be exploiting it, you know, using it as a lick, not holding true to the principles of it, right? You could just be here just to exploit it, to drain it of all of its resources and not give back to it, right? You could just take and not give back, right? So how are these silly rappers deceiving a culture? You know, I don't speak to a vulture. You know, I don't even speak to them type of dudes, right? La Costa Nostra carry heat in a holster. That's like Chi-Chi trying to speak to a Sosa. So I think that's a Scarface reference, right? Who was Chi-Chi? Chi-Chi was his man. In the movie Scarface, Chi-Chi was his man. It was Scarface's man, right? His shooter. So that's like Chi-Chi trying to speak to a Sosa. Sosa was the plug, right? The Colombian plug, I believe, or the plug in South American plug. So it's like Scarface's right-hand man, like the soldier trying to speak to a big boss. Like we shouldn't even be talking to each other. I don't even see, you shouldn't even be opening your mouth to dare speak to me. And I think he related that to, I don't speak to a vulture. So he's like, I'm like Sosa of this. Like I'm the real deal. I'm the authentic, I'm the genuine article, right? Like the genuine article. I'm the real deal. You fake. You just exploiting the culture. You a vulture, man. I do this. You know what I mean? You shouldn't even be trying to speak to me. Like in Scarface, a soldier trying to speak to the big boss. You know what I mean? It's like they're above rank. You know what I mean? You trying to speak to somebody like 10 people above your rank, man. You know? That was hard.
Carry heat in a holster. That's like Chi-Chi trying to speak to a Sosa. You're not a ransom. I found your label advancements in the crease of my sofas. I'm well off. You spent how much for that piece on that choker? You fell off with all your 10-carat bracelets and cheap watches. Please stop it, cause the shallowest niggas got deep pockets. Childish antics and immature games to increase optics.
He talking. You know, what did he say? You spent how much? So again, he's talking about culture vultures, you know, these rappers that are exploiting the culture, right? You know, what he said here, just talking to him like a grown man, right? When he said, I spent your label advancements in your label advancements, the budget that your label gives you, man, that was in the crease of that was like changing my sofa to me, man. That's the equivalent of like changing my sofa, right? I'm well off. And then he said, you spent how much for that piece on that choker? You fell off. How much did you spend for that choker and that watch and all that? Either it's fake or you overspent, right? Either it's fake or it's bullshit or it's cheap, or you're spending all of your budget, all your money on things that aren't going to bring you money back. So either you're wasteful with your money, right? All this just to increase optics, right? Like what did they say? You faking it till you make it, right? You really aren't anybody. You're not really great at rap, and you're a clown. You know what I mean? Putting on all this big, gaudy jewelry, right? Like just to increase optics, just to look like you're somebody when you're not, right? So that was super hard. Then he said the shallowest dudes got deep pockets. So it's a play on shallow, deep, shallow, deep, right? But the shallowest people, to be shallow, right? You're worried about surface level things, right? It's not about who you are, your character as a man. I'm gonna just specify men in this circumstance. It's not about being like just this well-rounded human being, man. You know what I mean? You're a clown. You know what I mean? You're a shallow individual. You're worried about material things. You're not worried about true wealth, right? Which is your health, which is treating people with love and respect, taking care of your family. You don't have any values. You don't stand for anything. So you're shallow. But the shallowest dudes sometimes have deep pockets. So sometimes the shallow dudes, oftentimes, not oftentimes, but sometimes shallow people do have money. But just because you got money doesn't mean that you're worth anything, if that makes any sense, right? As a man, as a human being, you know? So that was cool. Yeah, like Ransom is saying he sees through that. I see through the jewelry, the cheap jewelry, the fake watches and all that. And even if you got a little bit of money, man, your foundation is and who you are as a man is hollow. I see through it. You know, the shallowest dudes got deep pot. You shallow. You know what I'm saying? Tough. Yeah, let me pull that back.
Your 10-carat bracelets and cheap watches. Please stop it, cause the shallowest niggas got deep pockets. Childish antics and immature games to increase optics. 3 chopsticks.
Sorry, but that childish antics and immature games to increase optics. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing some dudes now, man, I ain't gonna say any names, man, that's acting like straight up donkeys on these streams. just childish, immature, right? Just to increase optics. It's just like they'll do anything for money. Like you do anything. You embarrass yourself, humiliate yourself for money. You know what I'm saying? But that's just an example of many things that Ransom is talking about. But that's just an example I wanted to bring up. Like what I see some of these rappers doing on streams. There was one literally that just got into it with an R&B singer, and I was just like, this dude is just acting like just clown behavior. You know what I'm saying? Clown.
Carrot bracelets and cheap watches, please stop it. Cause the shallowest niggas got deep pockets. Childish antics and immature games to increase optics. 3 chopsticks, a turn on your thoughts in the Asian dinners. Brace for winter, hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. I'm a sore loser.
The more I think about that line, the harder it is, man. Because this entire time, the entire verse, Ransom is talking about, the difference between him and them. Him and culture vulture, childish rappers, man, who stand for nothing. And then after all of that, then he says, brace for winter. It's hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. That is that's one of the hardest lines this year, man. I bullshit you not. That is crazy. The idea of bracing for winter, when you think of winter, what do you think of? Right? When you think of back in the 1700s, 1800s, they would have to prepare for winter, right? They would have to make sure the harvest was good so that they could stack up for winter. Why? Because you can't grow food in the winter. Winter is looked at as sort of desolate. It's hard to survive, right? So winter is here for a lot of rappers, right? Rap looks completely different in 2026. It's been rough time. It's been rough sledding the last few years for rap. The beef is the beef sort of covered it up, man. But hip hop has been, at least in the mainstream and underground, it's been struggling a little bit, man. So when he says brace for winter, winter is here. It's coming. You're not gonna be able to just to get by off of mediocrity anymore, right? You know what I mean? You're gonna really have to be, you're gonna have to be one of them dudes. The dudes that have longevity in this game that create fan bases brick by brick out of respect, not just having a hot moment or a flash in the pan moment. But the people that have solidified, strong, foundational fan bases, and the idiots, and not just idiots who just are wasteful with money. So these rappers, these culture vulture, immature, childish, lame rappers, man, they got to brace for winter, because it's hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. You can't copy what I do. You can't do what I do, right? You can't garner the respect that I garner. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard for you to survive. Brace for winter. You know what I'm saying? And you can't duplicate this. Sinners, as in, when he says sinners, that means dudes that was really active. You know what I mean? Retired street dudes. That was really, you can't duplicate that. That comes from real life, real, living what I rap. You know what I'm saying? So that was crazy. Yeah, let me finish it up.
3 chopsticks, a turn on your thoughts in the Asian dinners. Brace for winter, hard to duplicate mics that was made for sinners. I'm a sore loser, I never get front as a graceful winner. Praying up as many dead faces to break a printer. Place your chin up, your stomach is growling, your face is slimmer. Avons get turned to D'Angelo's when they face a stringer. Place your finger gently on a gun when you hold a trigger. Wrote a scripture, Sterling K could play me in the motion picture. Duffel.
Every time. Every time. You ever went to a restaurant, man, and it's like, every time, like every single time, man, you go to that restaurant, they deliver. You just never had a bad experience. Every time the food hits, every time you don't have to send anything back. It's nothing weird. It just hits every time. That's how I feel about Ransom, man. Every time. I know I'm going to get a great verse from Ransom. And I know people who pay him for verses know and can count on him never taking a verse off. And that is a very difficult thing to do. I've seen the greatest of the great take verses off. Incredible what he's been doing, man. We need something in hip hop, man, to really document things like this that are happening, man. Ransom needs to be documented. It needs to be appreciated. It needs to be like, I wish, and I'm going to put this idea out there, man. We need a website, hot verse counter. You know what I'm saying? Like that keeps track of hot verses and like gives points to rappers or some shit to really like bring home the fact that there's rappers out there doing some amazing things and it's sort of like just not being kept track of. Like I feel like we're just very sort of fragmented right now in hip hop. There is no sort of source for anything. No pun intended, but there is no source. You know what I mean? Source magazine, but there's no source for like, let's all come here. This is the voice. This is the main voice. This is sort of the the White House of hip hop to go to really get an idea of who's who and what's what. Everything is just so spread out, which is probably how it's going to be for the future. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But I'm just used to having those go-to places where you could get real opinions from people who know what's going on. I guess that's what YouTube is, but I just wish we had more of a nucleus, you know what I'm saying, for where to go and who's, just to keep track of what's happening. You know what I mean? I just feel like Ransom's doing some dope shit and people just don't know about it. But excellent verse from him. What did he say? Place your chin up. He said, place your chin up. Stomach is growling. Your face is slimmer. Avons could turn to D'Angelo's when they face a stringer. So that's a Wire reference, right? Avon Barksdale was the kingpin in Baltimore, and then Stringer Bell was his partner, right? But Avon was the king. And then if I'm getting that right, because I watched the first 3 seasons, I believe, of The Wire, and then I just kind of fell off. And I need to finish The Wire. I know I need to finish it. It's crazy. It's sacrilege in hip hop to not have seen every episode of The Wire. I know. And then he said D'Angelo's Avons could turn to D'Angelo's when they face a stringer. So D'Angelo was Avon's nephew he worked underneath him, right? And D'Angelo didn't he end up like doing drugs? So when Ransom says, place your chin up, your stomach is growling, your face is slimmer. And D'Angelo ended up getting hooked on drugs. So when Ransom says, place your chin up, your stomach is growling, your face is slimmer. So to me, that's just a descriptive of a drug user losing weight. Their face is slimming, they're growling, they're hungry, right, or whatever. Like, they don't look too good. Stringer Bell ended up telling on Avon Barksdale, ended up getting him jammed up. He went to jail. So he essentially, he betrayed him, right? So, and then also when you think of D'Angelo turning into a crack, when you turn into D'Angelo, you don't want to be D'Angelo in this scenario, right? Because he's the underling, right, that ended up getting hooked on drugs. So when you face a dude like Ransom, I could turn a dude who's a boss into nothing, right? I could turn you into a little dude, is what he's saying, right? I could, when you face a dude like me, because Stringer Bell was the more calculated guy in that crew, right? He was the more calculated strategist in the crew, right? He was the thinker. So, I can, when you go up against a dude like me, that's just a Jedi with this rap shit and what's going on, I will make you look like D'Angelo. I'll make you look like the underling. So that was fire. Ransom's verse was excellent. I thought 38 Special's verse was all right. It was cool. He had a couple lines, but it was all right. I'm used to 38 Spesh going way crazier than that. And I thought Smooth Haynes was, no. You know what I'm saying? But Ransom's verse was excellent as always. So solid. The beat was cool. Nothing pretty standard for underground. 38 Spesh, this sound to him. But nothing really special about this joint in my opinion. But I just thought Ransom's verse, it woke me up. You know what I mean? So, but I'm still excited. 38 Spesh, they can't all be winners. I can't wait to get to the tape. 8 shots. Let me know what else that you guys want me to do off the album. I'll try to get to it. No guarantees. That's it. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm George. This is Rhyme Rate. I'm out.